Shabbat Shalom. My name is Yadon Yasharal, and I'm with my brother Yadon Yasharal. And the title of today's Shabbat class is Separation of the Sheep and the Goats. Separation of the sheep and the goats. And a lot of carnal people believe that the separation is going to be basically, the sheep is all Israel and the goats is all the nations, and he's just going to grab all Israel because of their bloodline and just make them a great people. But that's a grave, grave, grave area, because we're given several marking points of that he is dealing with a remnant of people. He's dealing with an elect. He's not dealing with everybody, but he's giving everybody a fair opportunity. So if you don't want to be in that separation of becoming one of the goats, then it's smart to look at, well, how is this separation going to be done? What are the parameters in which he's going to use to separate and to identify the sheep from the goats? So we're going to get into that today. We're going to open up in Matthew chapter 22. Matthew chapter 22. And we're just going to read verses 1 through 14. Matthew chapter 22, and we're going to read the verses 1 through 14.
And Yeshua answered.
Matthew chapter 22, and we're going to read verses 1 through 14. Go ahead, brother.
And Yeshua answered and spoke unto them again by parables, and said, The kingdom of heaven is like unto a certain king which made a marriage for his son, and sent forth his servants to call them that were bidden to the wedding, and they would not come. Again he sent forth other servants, saying, Tell them which are bidden, Behold, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen and my fatlings are killed, and all things are ready to come unto the marriage. But they made light of it, and went their ways, one to his farm, another to his merchandise. And the remnant took his servants, and entreated them spitefully, and slew them.
So you have the first scenario where you have the king. He's going to his first pick, his first class citizens that he chose, and he's going to them. Hey, listen, my son is getting married. Come to this wedding. And if you esteem the king, you would say, well, that's an honor. You're inviting me to your son's wedding. This is going to be the heir to the throne. Yeah, we'll definitely come. This is great. You're giving me an advance notice and everything. Come. But instead of esteeming that, one had to, what does he say?
With his phone.
He said, I've prepared my oxen, but they made light of it and went their own way. One to his farm, one said, you know what, I got other things to do. I got to go tend to my well-being. And another to his merchandise, to his own products, to sell whatever he needed to sell. And then the rest of them, they entreated them spitefully and slew them. So instead of saying, well, thank you for the honor, they went and turned and slew the people that were coming to give the message that you have been invited to this great wedding feast. Go ahead.
And brother, if you look at verse 4 too, it says, My oxen and my fatlings are killed. And you look at the law, these are the sacrifices that were made for sin. And that the fat and the skins were burned outside the camp. So this is pretty much like saying, he bid the first group of Yasharal to come, right, and it didn't come. Now the real sacrifice was done, Yeshua. And I was like, okay, now y'all guys, you really have to come now. Like, the real sacrifice is done, everything's really prepared. And they still made light of it. Like, we don't even believe that he's the true Mashiach.
And they slew him.
They slew the prophet.
They slew them. Not only did they despitefully treat them, but they slew them. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 7. But when the king heard thereof, he was wroth, and he sent forth his armies and destroyed those murderers and burned up their city.
Is that unreasonable?
Nope.
That's the reasonable response you would expect. Go ahead.
Then said he to his servants, the wedding is ready, but they which were bidden were not worthy. Go you therefore into the highways, and as many as you shall find bid to the marriage. So those servants went out into the highways and gathered together all as many as they found, both bad and good, and the wedding was furnished with guests.
All right, so this is very similar to the religious institutions we have now. You know, grab anybody. We just want to fill the place up. You know, we're not interested in people that are trying to attain unto salvation. We just want to grab as many people as we can, good or bad, bring them in. Then we'll fill up the seats, because that's my goal. Now, if you need to fill up the seats so that you can benefit from something, that's what you're going to do. But if it doesn't matter how many people you have there, you know, you're going to be compensated the same way. You're going to be selective. You're going to say, you know what, I want these type of people here. Just like your own family, your own house. When you invite people in your house, you don't just open it, hey, anybody, strangers, come through, whatever. Because you're not going to get paid extra money and get some kind of extra payment for doing that. That's not your job. So you choose wisely and select the people that you bring into your house. Go ahead.
Verse 11. And when the king came in to see the guests, he saw there a man which had not on a wedding garment. And he said unto him, Friend, how came you in here, not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless. Then said the king to the servants, Bind him hand and foot, and take him away, and cast him into the outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen.
So everybody, good or bad, had the same opportunity. They had the same opportunity to come to this wedding feast. And if you knew that this was a great king, how are you just going to show up to a wedding without the proper attire on? That's like, you know, we about to go swimming and you show up in a suit. And then, you know, wonder why you can't go swimming. You didn't come to swim. You came to just to come. You wanted to do what you wanted to do. So you have this situation now where, okay, I came to Israel first. You were my firstborn. I gave you this word. I invited you to this wedding. I made sacrifices for you. I prepared a table for you. You not only disrespected it, but you killed my son. You killed my servants, the prophets. And now when I went and grabbed other people, you didn't even prepare the people that were coming. Because you couldn't fill the seats. You didn't even do your job and make sure that the people that are coming say, okay, you're going to come too. Well, make sure you prepare yourself a certain way. And there was the judgment. Outer darkness, weeping and gnashing of teeth.
One little part on that you want to add. Also, I want to add to that, brothers, that when those people were asked to come, and all those others that were asked but didn't come, and then when, I guess maybe the invitation may have gone out again, and why you ain't come, they killed those messengers, you know, to give that knowledge, you know what I mean? Hey, I want you to come. We don't want to come and kill them. So when you did bring all the other people that want to come in, okay, yeah, they're going to be some that's going to get kicked out, okay? But yet, these people here, the ones who were allowed to stay, they prepared their hearts and got into it. In other words, they say, I'm going to do what he asked to do. You don't disrespect what this man is allowing us. You know, he wasn't allowed once before. He wasn't allowed before to even come to this type of wedding feast. We were allowed to come to this wedding feast because you turned it down. So we come. So it's an honor. They opened the door to us. So those ones that prepared their heart to do right by this, this king, was allowed to stay. And the ones just came just to eat the food and don't give no respect to it because you ain't care how you came looking in your heart. It's not just, they use the term for the garments, the dress wear, but it's the garment in your heart. See, now you got to go. Weep and gnash of teeth, you know what I mean? Because you disrespected this assembly. So I wanted to, bring that out a little bit more.
Go ahead, brother.
And brother, I remember in the same verse in Micah, I believe it is, where Yahweh talks about, bringing all the tithe to the storehouse. And then he complains about the men being harsh to their wives. He also talks about the men clothing themselves with violence and pride and iniquity. Whereas people are big into this wedding feast, they hear about Yahshua, they hear about the salvation, they hear about the death, and instead of coming to his wedding feast clothed in the spirit and clothed with the commandments and clothed with righteousness, they show up like, hey, didn't we confess his name? Didn't we do all these great works? And like, I don't know, I never knew you. You're not clothed with the garments that my father gave out, who I preached my father's word, who I talked about keeping his commandment. The man came to him and asked him, what do I need to do to inherit eternal life? And he said, keep the commandments. So you're going to come to this wedding feast not clothed in the commandment. You're going to come clothed in violence. You're going to come clothed in pride and iniquity. Get these righteous garments on that have the techliths and the seats on it that are according to this law.
Right. Let's move to Matthew chapter 7. Matthew chapter 7. You showed up without honoring the king. And if he was a great king, we understand that, hey, I want to get this job. You didn't just show up in some Nikes and some basketball shorts. We put on our best attire and we get ready for that because we see the benefit. We see the carnal benefit immediately, short term, by getting this favor or getting this job. When we go to court, we don't show up any kind of way. We dress up and we do the things that we need to do because it's proper attire. Mm-hmm. You know, I remember in PE as a kid, when we was children, you didn't dress out, you couldn't participate, and if you would fail, you'd be like, how do you fail PE? Right. Because you wouldn't participate, you wouldn't dress out. So, in this sense, he's saying, okay, how could you show up here without a wedding garment to a wedding? How are you going to show up to a spiritual king with no spirit? Yeah. I mean, did you really think that was going to be acceptable, or did you just esteem me so lowly?
You can't just come in and make no change.
Right.
Yeah, you heard the good news, and what did it
You know what he's about. You know his Shem.
Yeah.
You might not know his name in Hebrew, but you know his Shem. You know what he's known for. You know his appellation. You know he's a righteous Elohim with righteous judgment. Go ahead, bro.
Well, one thing, I mean, if you go back, you also look at it as another comparison. I mean, they talk about the wise men. When they saw that light in the sky, and they knew that the Messiah was on earth now, was born, they came bringing gifts to the king. You know what I mean? And people get that mixed up, and they don't understand what that really means. You know, it's not about no Christmas where you get people gifts. You know, they went to see a king. So you don't have empty hands. You come humble. You come bearing gifts. You come with respect. You know what I mean? So that's what they did. And people missing the message on that. You know, so
right.
And it goes along. I just came to it. Just goes along with what we're talking about right now.
Right. It's an honor to be invited to stand in front of the king. You know, you look at with Esther or Hadassah, you see her situation. You could just walk up in front of the king. If he didn't rise that scepter up, man, he was getting killed.
He did.
Matthew chapter 7. Matthew chapter 7. We'll start this at verse 1.
Judge not that you be not judged. For with what judgment you judge, you shall be judged, and with what measure you mete, it shall be measured to you again. And why behold you the mote that is in your brother's eye, but consider not the beam that is in your own eye? Or how will you say to your brother, let me pull out the mote out of your eye, and behold, the beam is in your own eye?
And looking at that statement again, you know, if you got a beam in your eye, how are you going to properly judge righteously the speck in your brother's eye? You got a beam in your eye. You didn't even he can see what's in his own eye better than you, because you got something huge covering your eye. So it's like when you look at a spiritual matter with another one of your brothers or your sisters, and you're trying to minister to them within good heart, and you're trying to do that, but you haven't dealt with your own situation, then you are partial to the law. So the spirit, you're in an unclean state, so you can't even produce the right amount of spirit to help this brother if you haven't took the time to at least try to address yours. Now, we can't fix all our own problems, but it's the acknowledgement and the addressing the situation and the effort that may say, you know what, I will have mercy because everybody here is unclean, but I got to put my spirit on someone. These servants right here, they're trying. Let me put my spirit on them. Go ahead, brother.
You hypocrite, first cast out the beam out of your own eye, and then shall you see clearly to cast out the mote out of your brother's eye. Give not that which is holy to the dogs, neither cast you your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet, and turn again and rend you. Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asks receives, and he that asks finds, and to him that knocks it shall be opened. Or what man is there of you, whom if his son asks bread, will he give him a stone? Or if he asks a fish, will he give him a serpent? If you then, being evil, know how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your Father which is in heaven give good gifts to them that ask him? Therefore all things whatsoever you would that men should do to you, do you even so to them. For this is the law and the prophets. Enter you in at the strait gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leads to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. Because strait is the gate, and narrow is the way which leads unto life, and few there be that find it.
And that's a very important detail for the separation of the sheep and the goats. Because if you understand that, hey, the majority of people are going to be goats, and you got this big, broad, wide path to go this way, and a bunch of goats walking that way, and how do you know they're goats? Because they don't keep the commandments. They're not concerned with the commandments. They're carnal people. So if you being spiritual see that, how could you seek to walk down that path with them? Unless you have the liberty to go down that path, if you're trying to take people away from that path and bring them back to the narrow path. But why would you travel down that path expecting it to work well with you, understanding that there's a separation going on? He doesn't have to physically come and grab you and separate you. He could just say, here's my commandments. It's right here. Separate yourselves. And that's what the free will is about. He's not forcing everybody to have salvation. You have to go choose that and come pick up your crown and put it on your head. Go ahead.
Beware of false prophets which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves.
In other words, don't look at the outer appearance, their attire. They could be dressed Kodesh and look as holy as can be. But inside, they're ravening wolves. You have to see what's inside. Wait for those words to come out. Wait for those deeds to come out. Wait for those situations and circumstances to come out to see how they're going to deal with it when it affects them. Are they going to use the Spirit? Are they going to use the law and the testimony to decide what their move is? Go ahead.
You shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree brings forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree brings forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that brings not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire. Wherefore by their fruits you shall know them.
Okay, so you look and say, well, many of our carnal fathers as a nation weren't crap. How do we know that? Look at where we're at. We're in captivity. That lets you know how our carnal fathers were. But their fruit will show you who was really their father. Was their father the adversary, the devil, the spirit that inhabited that flesh? Or is their father Yahweh, the Most High? Their fruits will tell you, the fruits of the Spirit, which in Galatians chapter 5, I believe, 5 or 6, tells you the fruits of those spirits. Go ahead.
Not everyone that says unto me, Master, Master, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that does the will of my Father which is in heaven.
The will of his Father. The will is what he said to do. Yah's will is simple. What did he tell you to do? That's Yah's will. Go ahead.
And brother, growing up, Catholic school, that was like the main question. What is God's will? And there was a big mystery question mark behind it. And everyone, no one knew. No one knew. And it was like the great question, what is God's will? What is life about? And it's like, keep it open.
It's in there.
Keep it open as a big question mark.
Fear Elohim and keep the commandments.
But when you finally open up this word, it's like, God's will is simple, just follow his commandments. That's what he told us to do. It's not the big mystery.
Well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. There's got to be something else.
Yeah.
There's got to be, maybe he wants us to go to the stars and rule the world. No, he told you, keep my commandments and live. That's my will. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. That's too hard. So let's get together and brainstorm and we can come up with another will for God. Go ahead, brother.
In fact, I'm glad you brought that up, right? Because, once Yahweh had opened our eyes, he allowed us to see those powerful but simple words in Scripture, like keep His commandments, and then trying to teach us how to do those things, And you're right, I was the catechism too, and nobody answered that question, But when later on I started talking to priests, and nuns, so-called nuns about them, right? They got mad with me. You know what I mean? And then a priest told me, an old white-haired priest, dressed in his black outfit, at a university, told me there's more things to read than the Bible. And I said, like what? The Pope epistles? And he looked at me and he said, yeah. And then he really wanted to get away from me after that because I had my Bible in my hand. He was with me then. It was at Xavier University. And I was trying to ask a man that wearing an outfit that's supposed to know about the Scripture. You understand? Because he's supposed to represent. Man knew nothing about this word. And that would show me that they are false. And you need to get in your Scripture yourself and study your book. And maybe Yahweh at the time that you're seeking Him will open up your understanding. And later on it did happen. He gave me teachers that really understood more about this book than I ever believed. So I'm glad you brought that up, brother. There are some that's chosen to learn this.
Flesh and blood don't really reveal that to you, because even when they have the opportunity in front of them to let you know what the will of Yah is, they can't tell you.
No.
Although this is what they've spent thousands of years studying.
Right.
You can't tell you, ask what's Yah's will, what is God's will, question. And it's a mystery question.
It's a mystery question.
The Spirit has not been dispensed.
This gets choked up.
The Spirit has not been dispensed to them to even answer that simple
That's
question.
Right.
Until you get into the Word and we're brothers and sisters that are the temple, and Yahweh just reveals it to you like, my will is for you to obey His commandments.
That's right.
Think about it. If somebody don't give a damn about you, and this pleases you, and they're not going to do nothing to please you, this is going to piss you off after all you've done for them, why would you divulge all the things that you love? Like, look, I love this, this makes me happy, this shows me great honor, this is that. And you give them a little bit, A, B, and C, and they take it, step on it, put it on the floor, don't give a crap about it, and do what they want, and still come to you saying, give me more. Why would He open up and say, look, and I love all this, and I love righteous judgment, and I love when you take care of the poor and the widow? Why is He going to open up all these things to you? He's not, because you're just going to disrespect Him. So He's just like, look, I'm not going to give it to you. But ask and you will find. Knock and you will seek and you will find. Ask and you will receive, and He'll give it to you, because now you're showing me that you want it. Now, but the worst part is when you ask and then He gives it to you, and then you throw it on the ground again.
It don't mean nothing to Him.
That's the worst, because that Yahshua got you through the door that first time to come back and ask for it. And then you take it and throw it on the floor again. There's no more sacrifices for that. Except for you the sacrifice.
Yeah.
Verse 22.
Many will say to me in that day, Master, Master, have we not prophesied in your name, and in your name have cast out devils, and in your name done many wonderful works? And then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you that work iniquity. Therefore, whosoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him unto a wise man which built his house upon a rock.
So just look at that. And then I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me. Who's He talking to? You that work iniquity. You that don't keep the law. Depart from me. I don't care what you did in my name. You didn't do the thing that I told you to do.
Right.
I didn't tell you to go in my name and kick devils out. I didn't tell you that. I told you to go keep these commandments, and keeping of those commandments will make them devils flee. Your wizardry and your, all the evil works that you've done in His name, and all the fake, oh, you touch this guy, you squeeze his head till he pass out and all that foolishness. You did that in my name, but you embarrassed me. Because the devil is sitting right there saying, look at your servant. Look at his heart. He's just trying to get money.
He's foul.
He doesn't care. Yeah, he's doing all these wonderful works, but then as soon as these people leave, look what he's doing behind closed doors, where only we can see, the people that we're supposed to be esteeming and doing all this for. The Most High, His Spirit, Elohim, the people you're supposed to be glorifying. If they can see you doing all the wickedness, then all the good stuff you did in front of people don't mean nothing to Him. Because where He's at, in His home, in His habitation, everybody else is like, look at your servants.
That's right.
Go ahead, brother.
Verse 24. Therefore, whosoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him unto a wise man which built his house upon a rock. And the rains descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. And everyone that hears these sayings of mine, and does them not, shall be likened unto a foolish man, which built his house upon the sand.
So you build your house upon sand, it might look just as nice as that house that's on rock. And there might be rock right next door. And your house might be bigger and have, the one with sand might be bigger, have more stuff, great parties, everything is great until the storm comes, until those waves come. Then you're going to see what time it is. Go ahead.
The foolish man built his house upon the sand. Verse 27. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. And it came to pass, when Yeshua had ended these sayings, the people were astonished at his doctrine. For he taught them as one having authority, and not as the scribes.
The scribes speak based upon, this is what is written here. This is how it's written here, and it says that we're supposed to do this and do that. His servants speak like they said it, like it's their word. But when you ask them where it's coming from, it's Yah's word. But they're speaking with that authority because I'm not saying it. Yeah, I'm the physical voice saying this. But the power and the majesty and the might of this Holy Spirit is powerful. So I'm speaking with that same authority. But that same authority has to be used inward as well. Or else you look like, now you blaspheming it. Because you're speaking in the authority of the Most High, but then you ain't subjecting yourself to it. So why should they?
And you see the difference between the way a carnal mind processes things, the way the spiritual mind processes things, where Yeshua goes to a man and says, in order to enter this kingdom, you have to be like a child, you have to be reborn. Right. And he gets in carnal, like, do I have to go back into my mother?
Right.
And she was like, no, man.
Like you have it.
You just missed it completely what I just said.
Right.
So but the spiritual mind understood that I have to abase myself. He's talking about my soul. This is not no physical jump back in my mom type thing. It don't work like that.
Whatever you were, don't be that no more. Be something brand new. Yeah, is what he's trying to say. Bereshit, Genesis chapter 7. It's like when you're dealing with a spirit, how could you not look at things spiritually? After you get past the first initial, I've read the entire Bible. It doesn't have to be one page all the way to the end, but we've read through the entire Bible. I know what it says. I know who I am. I know what I'm supposed to do. After you get past that, how could you not have having a basic understanding of who Yahweh is and the fact that he's a spirit? How could you not want to take carnal things and understand them spiritually so you can understand a spirit? You don't do that if you're not interested in understanding that spirit or honoring that spirit spiritually. You're just interested in receiving the carnal benefit that you saw in here for reading that they preach in the name of God, the deity of fortune. That's all they're looking for. So they look at it carnally and find every carnal thing that they can do so they can get that carnal benefit. It's not going to work. Bereshit, Genesis chapter 7. And we're going to start this at verse 1. And you're going to get a reminder of he don't want everybody. He don't need everybody. If he wanted everybody, we'd still be in the garden.
Yep. Genesis, Bereshit, chapter 7. And Yahweh said unto Noah, come you and all your house into the ark, for you have I seen righteous before me in this generation. Of every clean beast you shall take to you by sevens, the male and his female, and of beasts that are not clean by two, the male and his female. Of fowls also of the air by sevens he made the male and the female to keep seed alive upon the face of the earth.
So the unclean beasts were here for a reason as well. He did keep 2 of them. He could have said, you know what, I'm wiping everything unclean out. Take the unclean beasts. No, but then the earth would be filled with clean beasts that are unclean because of the state of the earth. And that's what's happening now in our oceans.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Verse 4. for yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. And every living substance that I have made will I destroy from off the face of the earth. And Noah did according to all that Yahweh commanded him. And Noah was 600 years old when the flood of waters was upon the earth. And Noah went in, and his sons, and his wife, and his sons' wives with him into the ark because of the waters of the flood. Of the clean beasts, and of the beasts that are not clean, and of fowls, and of everything that creeps upon the earth. There went in two unto Noah into the ark, the male and the female, as Elohim had commanded Noah. And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened, and the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. In the selfsame day entered Noah, Shem, and Ham, and Japheth, the sons of Noah, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his sons with him into the ark.
So how many people went in there? 8 people.
8 people.
Go ahead.
They and every beast after his kind, and all the cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, and every fowl after his kind, every bird of every sort. And they went in unto Noah into the ark, 2 and 2 of all flesh, wherein is the breath of life. And they that went in male and female of all flesh, as Elohim had commanded him, and Yahweh shut him in.
They went in male and female so they could multiply, so they could produce life. Male and male can't produce life. Either a female or female. Go ahead.
And the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased and bare up the ark, and was lifted up above the earth. And the waters prevailed and were increased greatly upon the earth, and the ark went upon the face of the waters, and the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth. And all the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered. 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered. And all flesh died that moved upon the earth, both of fowl, and of cattle, and of beasts, and of every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth, and every man, all in whose nostrils was the breath of life, of all that was in the dry land died.
So, and all flesh died that moved upon the earth, both of fowl, and of cattle, and of beast, and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. And every man, all in whose nostrils was the breath of life, or all that was in dry land died. So only 8 people went into the ark, and all men died. So there was nobody else. Go ahead.
Verse 23, and every living substance was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle, and the creeping things, and the fowl of the heaven. And they were destroyed from the earth. And Noah only remained alive, and they that were in the ark with him. And the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days.
So he has the ability to decide, I'm going to just start everything over with just a small group of people, with just a small population. Now, he gave equal opportunity to everybody to hear and do that, but now they wanted to dance and sing, enjoy, and get married and do everything instead of listen to the warning of the Father. Let's move on to Romans chapter 9. So he's going to make that cut amongst people again. And he's warned us about that, the day of Yahweh. He's saying he's going to be another great cut, and it's going to be a separation of the sheep and the goats. And one of the gravest, which is borderline racist, you can't really call it racist because it's about a nation. It's not about everybody that's been classified as a race, but it's like KKK of Israelitism, I guess, of the religion of Hebrew Israelite, is to believe that all of Israel is going to be saved just because they are bloodline. and everybody else is going to get killed off. And there's huge congregations that teach this thing, but you wouldn't make no money that way. So what you have to do is you got to start including more people into Israel. You have to start saying, hey, all these people who weren't scattered into every corner of every nation of the earth, but have some of us in them. Yeah, come, you can be us too. You Israel too. You just this other tribe. Yeah. You this, because that's the only way you're going to get money. Because if you do everything just for us, for one, it's going to get destroyed because of the curses, and it's going to get destroyed because you're an easy target. And then we not the richest. We the poor people of the country. So you're not going to get rich off the poor people. So you got to involve everybody. But if you are going to involve your people, and you want to involve just bloodline Israel, then you got to teach lies. If you want it to be large, you got to either got to invite a bunch of other people and have them be you, or teach a bunch of lies. Because anybody in here who came with the word of Yah, you saw how quickly there was a separation. Israel was not trying to hear it. Our own people was not trying to hear it. Romans chapter 9. And here's the explanation.
I say the truth in Mashiach, I lie not, my conscience also bearing me witness in the Holy Spirit, that I have great heaviness and continual sorrow in my heart. For I could wish that myself were accursed from the Mashiach, for my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh, who are Israelites.
So who's speaking here?
Saul.
Saul's speaking. And he's saying that his brethren, Mashiach, cursed from Mashiach for my brethren, for my kinsmen, my family, according to the flesh, they're my family. And he's identifying who they are, who are Israelites. Go ahead.
To whom pertains the adoption and the glory and the covenants and the giving of the law and the service of Elohim and the promises.
Did he say are Hebrew Israelites? No. He just said Israelites. Period. There's no need to add Hebrew. If you're an Israelite, you're Hebrew. But if you're a Hebrew, doesn't necessarily mean you're an Israelite.
That's right.
But to gain a lot of people in the other nations, let's just say Hebrews. That way we can claim that inheritance too, because we're just dealing with everybody that's of the seed of Hebrew. Go ahead.
Verse 5. Whose are the fathers, and of whom, as concerning the flesh, Messiah came, who is over all. Elohim blessed forever. Amen.
And the trick with that, and you'll see that a lot in the Middle East, well, Abraham was our father. Okay, Abraham was the father of many nations. But he said he only had one son. Yah said your only son, Esau. That's so right. Unless you're saying, I'm the son of Yaakov, you ain't really saying you Israel. Right. You saying that you an Eberite. Go ahead.
Not as though the word of Elohim has taken none effect, for they are not all Yasharal, which are of Yasharal.
All right, so not as the word of Elohim has taken none effect, for they are not all Yasharal, which are of Yasharal. So there's another separation going on in here that, okay, yeah, you Yasharal in the flesh, but are you the spirit that was placed into Yaakov that made his name be changed to Yasharal? Are you of that? Or are you just a bloodline lineage of those that may have had the spirit in the past? Go ahead.
Neither because they are the seed of Abraham are they all children, but in Yitzchak shall your seed be called. That is, they which are the children of the flesh, these are not the children of Elohim, but the children of the promise, are counted for the seed. For this is the word of promise. At this time will I come, and Sarah shall have a son. And not only this, but when Rebekah also had conceived by one, even our father Ishak, for the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of Elohim according to the election might stand, not of works, but of him that calls, it was said unto her, the elder shall serve the younger. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. What shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with Elohim? Certainly not. For he said to Moshe, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion.
So in understanding Yah being a righteous judge, is he just going to say, you know what, you two people did the same exact thing, but you my son, it's okay with you. I'm going to have mercy on you. Or is he going to have a different level of judgment and say, no, I'm going into your hearts. You did it for this reason and you did it for this reason. Both of you are going to get punished, but both of you, your punishments are going to be based upon why you did it in your heart, your intent, and also your level of understanding. Israel, you knew better. He didn't know better. He did it because he's ignorant. He had no covering. You did it and you knew better. Different judgment. So he's not just going to just say, you know what, hey, look, we all going to just live because we all sinners, but hey, if he love you, he love you. If he don't, he don't. And he just for no reason just picking certain people and do it. He doesn't operate that way. If you read about all these people that he picked, there was something in their heart. There was righteousness that they believed, and that's how they found grace. Go ahead.
Verse 16. So then, it is not of him that wills, nor of him that runs, but of Elohim that shows mercy. For the scripture says unto Pharaoh, even for this same purpose have I raised you up, that I might show my power in you, and that my name might be declared throughout all the earth.
When you're looking for something, you're looking to use something to cut down something, a tree or whatever. Do you go look for a dull object? You look for a sharp object. I need something that's going to chop. So if I say, you know what, I need something that I'm going to show my power in. I need something that could be an enemy that I could take down. Oh, look at this little boy right here. Look how he's picking on people. Look how he's doing. Oh, he's going to be a great enemy. I'm going to raise him up. I'm going to make him real high so I can chop him down real low. But if you didn't operate in that state and you are righteous and you are a good person and you are trying to learn and you're doing the best you can, why would he pick you and say, oh, you know, I'm going to take this dull object and I'm going to make it knock this tree down? Now, if he's trying to show his power on a good side, then he would take something that is filthy and clean it up and say, this is by my power. But he's not going to take something good and make it evil, or else that would be unrighteous.
That's right. Go against his laws.
That wouldn't be mercy. That would go against his laws, like you said.
Go against his laws.
Go ahead.
Verse 18. Therefore he has mercy on whom he will have mercy, and whom he will harden, whom he will he hardens. You will say then unto me, why does he yet find fault? For who resisted his will? No, but, O man, who are you that replies against Elohim? Shall the thing formed say to him that formed it, why have you made me thus?
In other words, stop questioning him. Just follow your instructions. Do what you're supposed to do. You ain't got to worry about all that. But you asking these questions because you trying to find an excuse not to do the things that you know you're supposed to do. Go ahead.
Has not the potter power over the clay of the same lump to make one vessel unto honor and another unto dishonor? What if Elohim, willing to show his wrath and to make his power known, endured with much long suffering the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction, and that he might make known the riches of his glory on the vessels of mercy, which he had afore prepared unto glory, even us, whom he has called, not of the Yehudim only, but also of the Gentiles. As he says also in Oshay, I will call them my people, which were not my people, and her beloved, which was not beloved. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, you are not my people, there shall they be called the children of the living Elohim. Isaiah also cries concerning Yasharal, the number of the children of Yasharal be as the sand of the sea, a remnant shall be saved. For he will finish the work and cut it short in righteousness, because a short work will Yahweh make upon the earth. And Isaiah said before, except Yahweh Sabaoth had left us a seed, we had been as Sodom, and been made like unto Gomorrah. What shall we say then? The Gentiles which followed not after righteousness have attained to righteousness, even the righteousness which is of faith. But Yasharal, which followed after the law of righteousness, has not attained to the law of righteousness. Why? Because they sought it not by faith, but as it were by the works of the law.
They sought it by the flesh.
Animal sacrifice.
They sought it by the flesh of their own flesh, feeling like, well, we Israel. What you gonna do? You gonna blackmail Yahweh? And then they sought it also by, like you said, flesh, animal sacrifices. Everything fleshly, nothing spiritual. Just by flesh, I'm gonna get into this kingdom. Rude awakening. Go ahead and finish it up.
For they stumbled at the stumbling stone. As it is written, Behold, I lay in Zion a stumbling stone, a rock of offense, and whosoever believes on him shall not be ashamed.
He's a stumbling stone because if you don't follow that, you're gonna trip over it. And the stone gonna knock you down. But if you follow it and you trust it and believe in it, you won't be ashamed, because that will be your cornerstone. That will be your strength.
And brother, that ties a lot into the opening scriptures that we read about the wedding feast.
Mm-hmm.
The people he called at first didn't come.
Right.
And still the people he went to after that came up with every excuse and ended up killing the messengers that he sent.
Right.
Whereas after he's like, all right, go into the highways and byways, go to the people who are not a people, who I have not called, and make them my people. But then when it came down to looking at the requirements, they had the people of the first that attained to it by the flesh.
Right.
But when the spiritual meaning of what they were doing showed up, they didn't understand it. Then you had the people that just believed on faith alone. And then when you look for their wedding garment and were they ready, did you do the things that was required of me being a great king? They found nothing. It's like, you have on a wedding garment. You have to go. So no side of it, the Yehudim or the Gentile is able to both. Everyone has to come into submission to Yah's word.
Everybody has to come in the same way through the Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody is coming in through the flesh.
That's right.
Period. The flesh determines how this law pertains to you, what section of the law pertains to you. The laws of righteousness pertains to everybody, but the law of order depends on what your flesh is. Whether you're a child, you can't act as the adult. If you're a child, you're a child in the flesh. If you're a female, you can't act as the head of the household, overbearing over your husband. That wasn't given unto you. And if you're a male, you can't hide behind your wife and say, that woman you gave me, she gave me the fruit and I didn't eat. It's going to cause problems because there's order. There's order. So that the flesh determines, that's the first stage of whether you're going to follow instructions. Are you going to follow the order that had nothing to do with you, that you were born that way? Are you going to follow that order? And based upon how you follow that order, in the fleshly orders, then comes the next level, the spiritual orders. But you can't even get to those spiritual orders and you ain't following the fleshly orders. That's why you walk into any congregation, I don't care who you are. If the woman is up there teaching and leading that congregation, it's not going to benefit. Or else, Yah will be working against his own word. Now, let me validate that. Does that mean that a woman cannot teach? Yes, she can teach. She teaches the children. My wife teaches me all the time. But she doesn't stand up in the stead of the leader leading as the teacher or being the main teacher of an organization. That's not order.
Not order.
That's not order. Because she can't keep the commandments if she up there every week.
Nope.
Especially if she's in the age of her cycle. That means she's disregarding the laws. And you'll see them do that all the time because they disregarding the law that they're not supposed to be there anyways. Mm-hmm. So you think they're going to say, I'm not supposed to be here according to thus says Yah. Set a man over the congregation. But no, I'm not going to follow that. But I'm going to sit out this week and let my husband preach because my cycle is on. She's not thinking about that. She's already thrown the law out. So let's move on to Numbers by Midbar, chapter 14. And folks think that it's some old sexist type thing, this, that, and the other. I mean, it's about order, period. We didn't make those rules up. It is what it is. But it doesn't say the woman need to be oppressed. It doesn't teach us that.
Numbers what?
14 by Midbar, Numbers chapter 14.
Oh, one thing you just said, brother. I want to address that one thing you said so people also can understand another point of view on it, is that it's not going to be productive to the point where the world deems it productive, but it's not going to be productive the way Yahweh
Or it
seems
counts.
to be doctrine.
Right.
Yeah, or count before Yahweh. Because he's stating to follow his commandments, his judgments and statutes. And he's not making his law where it will injure you. And but he says, no, I put this law out. You didn't put this law out. I created all of this. I kill, I make alive, I wound, I heal. He says, so if I do all this, what makes you think that you can just do what you want in his kingdom?
Right.
And that's the point he's trying to portray over these people, because a woman cannot teach a man, as they say. But she's talking about over a congregation as an authority. You know, because there's many men out here who have no clue of this scripture. Right. So somebody got to give him some knowledge, and whatever a woman can give him, that's knowledge, that's teaching. You know, but it doesn't mean that you have to continue to stay underneath that woman all the time. It's time for you to take up your rank and start studying and reading and find a place under what a man is teaching as true, so you can learn more and try to be under what Yahweh say to do.
Right.
But people take it out of context, and they want to injure people's feelings and so forth and say, well, you're not good enough to do this and that. They want to be cruel to people. You understand? And that's how you lose the understanding of what Scripture is trying to say. You know, because that evil spirit gets into it.
Right.
You know, so I want to bring that out. You know, we just have to follow what y'all say do.
Right. Right. Yahweh put his spirit on a woman the same way he put it on a man.
Yes.
He revealed a lot through women.
That's right.
And the woman in the marriage is for counsel.
That's right.
So she has to know this word as well, so she can counsel her husband, because he's making big decisions if he's a leader. So he's going to place a woman of understanding next to her to help increase his understanding, to help even him out where he's bad. And even the women, the great women that were in this story, they were usually great in stature because of their husband. That was a wise man, and they were one flesh, so they shared of that spirit. So after that husband was gone, like Deborah, prophetess, husband was gone, then they're still coming to that woman because they know that they was around that spirit. That's right. And they still getting counsel for that woman. But she not going up there and leading the army and saying, let's go and charge, whatever. That's why it was so off for Barak to turn around and say, hey, I will go if you go. If you go. She not supposed to be leading people.
That's right. She's supposed to be in that position.
But there's nothing wrong with getting counsel from a wise person. It doesn't matter if she's a man or a woman.
And she conceded.
Yes, she did.
She's like, nah, I won't draw back. You go.
Right.
And she didn't, fall into that temptation of
that Jezebel spirit.
I'm gonna
That's
go
right.
ahead and
That's right.
she went ahead and fell back like, nah, you go ahead and handle it. She understood the order.
Right. And look how Yah took care of that business.
Yeah.
She said it was going to be by the hand of a woman. He could have made Deborah do it, but nah, he took a Gentile. What's her name? J something. What is her name? J. I want to say Jada, but it's not that. But anyways, he took the woman, and the woman slew the king.
Yeah, she put a spike through his head.
Yeah, a nail through his temple.
Yeah.
And Deborah prophesied that and said, this is what's going to happen. She prophesied that. This is what's about the hand of a woman is going to be taken down. But Yahweh purposely didn't make it be that woman. Because years later, be like, women supposed to be leading this, because we would take stuff and run with it.
And run.
Because at this time, man, you see, if she is the main character at this point, that shows you the state of the men. The state of the men show you where the leaders come and say, I will go if you go. Not that I will go if Yahweh will go with me. What's she going to do?
One more thing on that, bro.
Go ahead.
One more thing on that. I mean, we go back to Moshe. Moshe was friends with Yah. And I think I'm speaking correctly on that. He was supposed to circumcise his son. Yet he did not. And through the anger of his wife, she still followed Yahweh's order. She circumcised her son and threw it at him, threw the foreskin at him and said, you're a bloody man. But yet, where was his mind? Because he is the friend of Yahweh. He had authority through Yahweh. But yet Yahweh said, I will kill you. He was trying to kill him because he wasn't going to follow, his orders. To represent him throughout the people doing the circumcision.
Right.
So our wives are there to watch and help us and lead us And we are hard-headed individuals that don't want to do it. We stubborn. Don't realize Yahweh going to deal with us. But our wife is there also to hear Yahweh when our ears are stopped up at that time and tell us, hey, you doing wrong, bro. I might be pissed off at you, but I'm going to tell you, but you doing wrong. Straighten up or something going to happen. So that's a good representation of our other half, protecting us through the word of Yah, breaking through our hard-headedness.
Right. Her was what? JL, yeah. JL, that's her name, right. And it was King, I think it was King Yadon was the one that put through his nail through his head. But yeah, the rib keeps a man upright. Your rib keeps you upright. If your ribs you take out 2 of your ribs, you slouch it. You can't keep yourself. It protects your heart, your vital organs. A rib is very important, and from a rib you can take stem cells.
Yep.
So there's a lot having to do with that. And Yah saw from the beginning that it was not good for us to be alone, and we were created to do work. So that means that we needed something to help us do our job. Numbers by Midbar, chapter 14. Start this at verse 1.
And all the congregation lifted up their voice and cried, and the people wept that night. And all the children of Yasharal murmured against Moshe and against Aaron. And the whole congregation said unto them, If only that we had died in the land of Mitzrayim, or if only we had died in this wilderness. And why has Yahweh brought us unto this land, to fall by the sword, that our wives and our children should be a prey? Were it not better for us to return into Mitzrayim?
So you see the cowardice of man. He trying to throw, it's about his children. It's about his wives. Man, it's about you and your fear. It's about you and your fear. But you trying to use your children. Stop. You're scaring the woman. You're scaring the children. No, you scared.
Yeah, you scared. Not only that, he opened his mouth and caused a curse to fall over him and his family.
Right. Yeah, it's better. Wouldn't it be better for us to go back into captivity after Yah just told us, no, let my people free for a reason? So they can come serve me in the wilderness and worship me? Verse 4.
And they said one to another, Let us make a captain, and let us return to Mitzrayim. Then Moshe and Aaron fell on their faces before all the assembly of the congregation of the children of Yasharal. And Yeshua the son of Nun and Caleb the son of Jephunneh, which were of them that searched the land, rent their clothes. And they spoke unto all the company of the children of Yasharal, saying, The land which we passed through to search it is an exceeding good land.
Now, they rented their clothes. So they showed their disagreement. But this was a very huge display of disagreement. They in the wilderness. They like they at home and they got all their clothes in the closet. I'm gonna rip this. I'm gonna go in my closet and put on these new garments. Man, y'all pissed me off. No, they're renting their clothes. And even back then, they didn't have all these huge wardrobe of things. It took a lot of effort to make these garments. Go ahead.
And they spoke unto all the company of the children of Yasharal, saying, The land which we passed through to search it is an exceeding good land. If Yahweh delight in us, then he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land which flows with milk and honey.
You ask yourself, why do they understand that? Why them?
They had the spirit, bro.
They had the spirit. The spirit told them, look, man, fool, why would Yah free us from the biggest bully on the block, take us out of slavery by miracles? Not like the door was open and we ran out, but miracles.
Go ahead.
Miracles. Cross us through the Red Sea, things we've never heard of ever in history. To bring us out here to kill us off. He could have left us there. We would have died there.
That's right.
Why would he do this? Follow what he's saying. Believe this living Elohim because he's done it. And you trust me, his will is going to be done. But why they could understand that? Because they allowed that spirit to make the decision. I believe that the rest of Yasharal, many of them had the spirit as well. They had an opportunity as well. But are you going to listen to the spirit of truth when your flesh is on the line? That's the $1 million question. That's the endurance. Listening to the spirit when your flesh is on the line. Go ahead.
Verse 9. Only rebel not you against Yahweh, neither fear you the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their defense is departed from them, and Yahweh is with us. Fear them not.